Hey, what's up, YouTube? It's Chris, channel 702. And today, this is part two of working at Disneyland in the 90s. I'm going to talk about auditioning for the Lion King parade. I got my Space Mountain shirt on. I don't even think they sell these anymore. I don't know why. These shirts are badass. I don't know why they didn't do more attraction poster t-shirts. I mean, I would have bought Pirates, Haunted Mansion, Matterhorn. If you can see behind the camera, I actually have multiple Disneyland attraction poster prints. A couple of them are reprints, but I got a few originals too. And I got some in the other room. I love those. Don't know why they didn't make more of them, but what can you do? So anyway, this is part two. It's really like part zero because I wanted to put this in part one, but I forgot. Didn't make it in my notes, so I forgot to put it in. But so 1993, I saw an ad in the paper. It was LA Times. I'm sure they had one on the OC Register too, and they were auditioning for a parade at Disneyland. They needed performers and then radio-controlled car drivers, operators. So I thought, all right, I wanted to work. I didn't have a license at that point, but I wanted to work at Disneyland. So I was going to audition, even though I'd never performed in anything, and that became painfully obvious during the audition. But anyway, so I show up, and it was it was in the backstage area at Disneyland. I don't even. It's back like where the office buildings are now, because I don't think those office buildings were there yet. I don't think they'd been built. But then I'm kind of remembering was going over to where like California, not California, Star Wars Galaxy Edge is now, because that used to be Backlot area too. But I don't know, it was back there somewhere, and I wish I had a better remember. I wish I could remember better where it was. But anyway, so I go to the audition. There actually wasn't that many people there. I don't know if they had done multiple days, but it was a Saturday, so you would think there'd be more people. But I think there was only maybe 25, 30 people. So if you remember the Lion King, so this was for the Lion King parade. If you remember the Lion King parade, a lot of people will tell you that that's the best parade that they've done. I remember they had the dudes that would stick the poles in the ground and they would climb up that, and then they had the little alligators that would go along the side, and then they had people swinging on the float. I mean, and then it had the music, of course, which is iconic at this point. I've never even seen the Lion King actually, but the parade. I've never seen the movie, but nevertheless, just this really great parade. So that's what the audition was for. So the first thing we did, we were all inside this warehouse, and they had a bunch of. The warehouse is pretty cool because there were floats like from the electrical parade, and then there was like a couple other ones that I didn't recognize from which parade, or I don't remember now. Whatever parade they were running, besides the electrical parade, in '93, whatever the daytime parade was. But there's a bunch of floats in there. It's pretty cool. So anyway, so this was for the performer, right? And I had never performed before. So the first thing they do is, everybody's lined up like, okay, you're a fish. So you have to get down the ground and like pretend like you're a fish. And you can just imagine. I'm not going to do it for you. You can just imagine what that would look like. But I was terrible, and I knew I was terrible, and it got worse too. So you're swimming along the ground. You're a fish. You're doing the gills. You got your whatever, and then it's like, oh, it's deep water. And then deeper, deeper. And of course, as you're going deeper, you're basically like in slow motion. A lot of the other people there, obviously, either were just naturally good at this or had performed in other things because they were like killing it. I couldn't even copy what they were doing. It was too good. It was terrible. So then the next one, all right, we're good, we're done with that one. So we get up, and the next one is, all right, so you're a ball of cookie dough, and you're in the oven, right? And then, so you're cookie dough in the oven. It's getting hotter. It's getting hotter. You're turning more into a cookie. You're like trying to like flatten out, because cookies, start as the ball and they flatten out. So then, you're trying to flatten out. And God, I mean, I was so awful. I was fucking terrible. I mean, my God. I wasn't even like, oh, I was out of my comfort zone. I was just out of my zone, life zone in general. Like, I was just awful. I mean, if I had had a year to prepare, I probably would have been less awful, but I definitely wasn't getting the job. And I knew it, and I was really bummed out too, um, as I was doing it because I knew it was bad. I just knew it was bad. I could see everybody else, and anyway, so I'm like, all right, it's cool. They still got the RC cars. They had an obstacle course set up. So I'm like, it's cool. And I hadn't used. This is another. I hadn't used an RC car at this point. I was not quite 17 yet. Didn't have a license, like I said. But I hadn't used an RC car in like 10 years. I didn't own one. I think I owned one when I was like 6, 7 years old. I probably crashed and broke it, and that was the end of that. And my friends did, but I was always just like watching them run through whatever. But I figured like how hard can it be? It's forward, it's right, left, whatever. So they have an obstacle course set up, just basically like cones, and then like a turn, and then back where there's more cones. So the first guy gets in, he's like, he's going through it like super fast and timing them, and it looks good. I'm like, oh, okay, no problem. Watch a couple more, and I'm like, all right, I got this. So I get the car, and I'm like, I hit it going forward, and this thing's full speed. And so I try to slow down, and I knocked over every single cone. I slammed into the wall. I knocked over the other set of cones. It was terrible. I did not make it through one thing. Because they're set up like this, you're supposed to, weave in and out, like a snake or an S pattern. I did an I pattern, just like straight through it, knocked over every single cone. I'm pretty sure at one point the car had flipped over, and I had to go and like flip it back and then try the other side. You're over here, just all of them just get completely wrecked, and I did not get the job. And that was one of those times where when I left, like I knew, like I was like, no, I knew I wasn't getting the job. Because sometimes you go on interviews or whatever, and you nailed it, and you were better than everybody in the room or whatever. And you feel pretty confident. But this was not that at all. I knew I sucked. It was terrible. That was not my calling. But it was fun. It was a fun experience. It's fun to sit here and tell you about how awful I was auditioning for the Lion King parade. But it was terrible. But a great experience. I learned a lot from it, and what I learned was keep looking. Keep next time they post something else that's not for a parade audition, go ahead and apply for that. So anyway, so that was my experience auditioning for the Lion King parade. I did end up working the Lion Parade um, as guest control. I had to keep the fire lanes open. Basically, it was like a 4-hour shift, which basically meant like you go out there, you set up for about an hour. You're getting all the fire lanes sorted out, getting the ropes up, and then you basically go on break for like then you go on break for like 90 minutes. So you get there, you work for an hour, and if you're on break for 90 minutes, you come back out, you work the parade, which I think was about 25 minutes, 30 minutes. You break everything down, then you go on break, and then you clock out and go home. So that was the 4-hour shift. They had a full 8-hour parade shift that I did get occasionally. But working the parade was cool too because it was fun to watch it every day. And then all I was doing was just keeping the fire line clear, so like nobody could get in there. Make sure the kids didn't stand up on the trash cans, like that, because there's still security out there. You have your leads and stuff. So I did end up working the parade, just not in the parade. So I guess there was some satisfaction there. But I did see some of the people that I auditioned with, every day, out performing and driving the alligators and shit. So that was cool. But anyway, so thanks for watching. Tune into the next one. The next one is going to be me talking about training and working on the Jungle Cruise. So that was a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to talking about that. But anyway, like and subscribe, or don't, whatever. But if you do, I'd be more than happy to return the favor. Just let me know who you are in the comments. But once again, thanks for watching.